Hello, Aldo Figueroa here. In this video, we are now going to experiment creating different NURBS geometry. So what I have here is a Maya scene file, and I'm going to go into the Create menu up here. And notice that we have NURBS primitives. I'm going to go ahead and tear off this menu by clicking on this little line up here. And now that I have the NURBS primitives, I'm just going to put it over here off to the left. And let's start off by creating a default sphere. And what we have right here, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in to look at this object. We can see that we have a sphere. One of the benefits of working with the NURBS geometry is that NURBS are mathematical based models, and that it doesn't require lots of information, lots of components to create a really smooth surface. With NURBS, you're able to get some, they're really good for anything that requires to have a really soft, smooth surface. I'm going to right mouse click on this object, and let's go ahead and look at the control vertex or CVs. And you'll notice that these CVs do not lie on the surface of your model. That's one of the things about NURBS geometry, is that oftentimes the surface shape that you have that you're working with, the components don't necessarily will not lie on the actual surface. If you recall in the previous video, these CVs kind of act like weights. I'm going to make sure that's still selected. I'm going to select one. I'm going to press the W for my move key. And as I move this out, you see how it's manipulating that surface. And you don't need to just select one. I could select the entire a whole row of them, and I could manipulate this shape. But because they are mathematically based surfaces, you can see how it gets a really nice, smooth shape. I'm going to deselect it. We get something that looks like this. So they're really fun to work with, to edit. We were working with the control vertices. Now I just want to go over, let's go back to the holes just so you can see what we have right here. I'm going to press 4 on my keyboard just to get the wireframe view so we could see that these vertices are inside. I'm going to go back to control vertex and select these and just bring them back out. I'm going to press 5 to get the shaded mode. I'm going to right mouse click. Let's go back to holes. You can see the holes are connecting all the vertices. And then we have these other types of components. You have a surface point. Depending on certain commands to edit or to manipulate the surface, the NURBS geometry, you might need to use a surface point, or you might even need to use a surface patch, such as this. Say, for example, if I want to copy this and extrude it, you don't extrude it, but you're able to make a copy of this area. A duplicate is a better example. You also have, we haven't gone over UVs, but it also has UVs. And then isoparms, which is yet a different way of being able to find a location area along this path, along the surface of your object. Now I'm going to go ahead and switch back to the object mode. I'm going to move this shape off to the side. And you can see I'm clicking on this little box right here, which is isolating, or not isolating, but it's logging in my X and Z coordinate space. So I'm able to move it along that plane. I'm going to go into the sphere option box. And within here, there's some pretty cool options that you're able to experiment with. You can see with the start sweep, it's at 0 and sweep 360, but you could also make a portion. So say, for example, what if I just want this to be 270? And I'm going to go ahead and tell it to apply. So now we just have a portion that's just created, almost like an empty Pac-Man shape. There are ways that we could fill in what's called a planar, these shapes right here, if we want to get that type of shape. But one of the cool things is what we could also do if we go into this curve shape, into this NURBS sphere 2, into the inputs, the history, notice that right here, and sweep, we can, this is something that can be changed over time. So you do want to make a Pac-Man looking shape. This is one part. We still need a, I will fill in the inside because this is like an open path. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select it. I'm just going to delete it because if you notice right here, what you can also do is axis up. Right now, axis up was set to Y. But say, for example, I want axis up set to, we'll say Z this time. Apply. And you can see how now it's going along the Z axis. Now, if we go back right here to change this, and what I'm doing, I'm selecting the word, I'm moving my mouse into this window, and I'm clicking and holding down the middle mouse button. It becomes a lever where, like a little slide, if I go towards the left, that value is decreasing. If I go towards the right, it's increasing. So it's a little waka waka waka. So you can have fun with that. Since we have this open, I could also maybe show a couple things. Degree, right now it's cubic, which gives you this smooth. But if I change this to linear, now it becomes really blocky. Of course, we could change how many number of sections it has. Right now it has 8. If I click right here, we can see how the more we add it, the smoother it's going to get, the less, the blockier. The same with the spans. So I'm going to go ahead and tell it to, I'm going to close this window because we already looked at some of these. I'm going to go ahead and move this object off to the side. And what I would suggest is for you to go through the different NURBS primitives and see what you're able to create. Now, I do want to talk about a couple of them. Let's go into the create just a cube. And with the cube, notice in the outliner here that it's actually a group of 6 individual planes that were created that were grouped with one another. Now, what's happening with this shape is that since these are mathematical shapes, you're not able to create this closed shape. So it's a series of 6 different NURBS planes that are connected together. And to select it, you select the group. I'm going to move this off to the side. And some of these, for example, like the cylinder by itself, it doesn't have caps. But if I go into the cylinder option box, you're able to create a cap on the bottom, top, or both. We'll create them on both. Create. And you can see that this shape, it too is, well, it's different type of group. This is actual parent. You click on this one and it selects its corresponding children, which are the caps, but you can see that there's a cap top and bottom. These are actually not sealed. And what you're also able to create under NURBS primitives, you can also create a circle and a square. Oftentimes, this circle comes in really handy. Now let's go to the options box. I'm going to leave it at cubic, linear, create. If I right mouse click on it, control vertices, this is a good tool to be able to use to really easily, really fast, just to create a shape that you could use to edit or manipulate. So that instead of a circle, I like changing the shape so that I kind of have it like a direction. Go back to the object. And we're going to come back to this one a little bit later. But this is working with NURBS primitives. I want you to explore the different shapes and see what you're able to create, how they work, and just get familiar with them. And in the next video, we're going to start working with specific tools that allow us to create and edit a specific type of NURBS models that are basically created from paths. So I'll see you in that next video. Okay, bye.